don't feel like I'm anywhere near where I want to be. Well, there's a crew of 200 people that are making you look good. I think that actors win awards because of the editors, not because of the actors themselves. So I try really hard to separate myself from my job and my personal life so I don't get caught up.
It's the real price of a Hollywood dream.
From audition rooms to series like Blue Bloods, Modern Love, and Manifest, actress and filmmaker.
Fortuna Gebreselassie has seen the ladders, the egos, and the editors who make stars look good.
But her dream is expanding to the rhythms of Tigrinya pop and the untold stories of Ethiopia.
She reveals the mindset that keeps her grounded and why she's now betting on helping to build an entire entertainment industry.
Tell us about the challenge that you have in there.
It's a very difficult industry and it has, a sequence of ladders. If it's an elevator system of 7 floors, I'm still between 1 and 2.
Why come to Ethiopia?
I discovered I was American when I moved here. This is still where I'm from at the end of the day.
Do you think the other professions that you have helped you actually be the person you are today?
Of course.
Yeah.
I noticed that the journey to becoming isn't always the healthiest. I mean, blatantly speaking, I didn't feel as beautiful or as capable. So it was a self-discovery journey that just overall ended up happening to assist in my professional journey as well.
Tell me the one thing that you have in your mind you think would be fascinating or educational. I have beautiful days. It's these days, most of the times, I have countless beautiful days, and days like this are more beautiful, if I could say that. So it's a blessing as well to have you here. You meet people in different places and different times, but when you meet people that you respect and you want to have a conversation, it's a blast. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I know a lot about you by now, but people don't know much. So I don't want to mess anything up. It's better for you to tell us who you are and what you do.
Okay. My name is Fortuna Gebreselassie.
Yeah.
I am a Hollywood actress and filmmaker, singer, songwriter. We spoke about this before. I have background in psychology, human behavior, personal training, herbalism, things that have anything to do with being a human being, whether it's physically or internally. It's my thing.
Yeah. I mean, people talking about themselves, mostly the Fortuna I have in my mind and the person that you displayed in here, unraveled in here, is a different person, because I was watching, some part of a movie or a TV show, and I was like, this person is Ethiopian, and they're making it in Hollywood, and they're big. But maybe because of, I don't know if that is true or not, because you are on that journey of achieving a lot, achieving much. You don't want to talk about it that much. I take it, because we talked about your journey, but we talked about other things other than what is actually big. So I want you to tell us more about your journey in the US and tell us about the challenge that you have in there and the opportunities, and why come to Ethiopia after all that.
I think part of it, in regards to acting, filmmaking, and Hollywood is, at least for me, I don't feel like I'm anywhere near where I want to be. And because the industry, it's a very difficult industry, and it has, a sequence of ladders. So if there's if it's an elevator system of 7 floors, I'm still between 1 and 2. So I think part of it is because I have access to the knowledge of what the 7th floor is supposed to be. I think sometimes there's also this, I think we talked about imposter syndrome, where we don't allow ourselves the credit of how far we've gotten and how monumental that is in itself, especially as Habeshas. and I think it's chronic, even worse here in this country, that it seems that's also part of me a little bit. But the other part of it is I think it's also my profession, not my personality. So I try to distinguish the difference between my job versus who I actually am, and how I allow my job to personify who I am and sort of bridge the two together. So maybe that's why I don't speak about Hollywood as much, but it's also reading the room, right? So depending on where you're at, if it calls for it to do so, but sometimes it can come off as maybe, being egotistical or showing off, and I don't like those two words at all. So I just try to find the balance as far as how do you need me to present right now in the particular space. And that's just what I try to do best.
Okay. Do you think there are the other professions that you have, the psychology and wellness, the areas around it, helped you actually be the person you are today? Or is there anything that you want to tell me about that?
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I got into the wellness and health aspect of life because of how unhealthy I saw some of the behaviors in my industry, right? So depending on the role, it might demand us to either gain or lose weight, or maybe we have some sort of habit that's maybe they're a smoker, maybe they have a limp, maybe they have something, right? And I noticed that the journey to becoming isn't always the healthiest. And I noticed that there really wasn't too many spaces that was teaching a healthy way of becoming. Because even though, if I have a limp in my leg, for example, as the character, my body doesn't know what's fact and fiction, right? And the more that I practice that limp, the more of a habit it becomes, and then the more it naturalizes into becoming. So figuring out how to make sure that you're staying mobile, how to reconstruct so that your nerves or your bodies don't get used to this new way of being, because every 21 days you can build a habit that way. So I think I noticed it in that sense. But originally it was also because I didn't feel, blatantly speaking, like I didn't feel as beautiful or as like capable or, as 9 out of the 10 women that would be in the same audition room as myself. And so the original place came from wanting to look a certain part, and then developing a relationship with myself as far as, well, what is this image that you're trying to achieve? Is it healthy? Is it right for you? The compromises, the risk, the factors. And then through health, I found that I could actually achieve any look that I wanted.
Yeah.
Excuse me, without having to compromise myself. And that would actually allow me to be in the industry longer term, right? Not just like a 10-year span, but I could be there 30, 40, 50, 60 years if I take care of myself and honor who I am instead of trying to become something that I'm not. So it was a self-discovery journey that just overall ended up happening to assist my professional journey as well.
All right. I am blamed for asking this question a lot, but I keep asking it. For people coming from a prestigious background or people who happen to have maybe wealth or fame, I wonder what they would get by coming to Ethiopia. And this is the same feeling I have for you. Working in that industry, there is a prestige and everything. And coming back to Ethiopia, why?
As American as I am, and I know I'm American. I discovered I was American when I moved here because of how different my thought patterns and behaviors and questions and interests were. This is still where I'm from at the end of the day. And I think no matter how much I try to shapeshift, especially now that I've perfected it as a profession, I can't fill the void that is naturally there. And, the war was a wake-up call in that sense, where I hadn't seen my family in so long.
All right.
I didn't have any sort of relationship with the Habesha community at all, even long before then, just because of some of the things that I picked up on early on that I didn't find mirrored what I valued. Let's just say that way. So yeah, it penetrated this wall I didn't know that I had built up for so long. And once I saw the humanization of this background that I'm technically from, that I knew not of, I think the curiosity opened up. And once I got here and actually spent time with my family, it was a very mixed of emotions. I didn't come here necessarily for the profession. I came here for the personal relationships. And in doing so, I discovered that there is an industry here that is untapped. There is an industry here that is so rich in history and stories, that the world abroad actually loves and to a degree fetishizes. But we don't even know how valuable we really are. We don't even know how beautiful our history is, because we haven't invested in actualizing it to the degree that I think we could. So I think it was the balance between seeing what's possible and then knowing that I have a background and a skill set that I could assist to develop that, and just wanting to give it a try. I don't know how well it's going to work out long term, but so far in my observational state, I think at least this generation has different level of capacity than we've seen ever before. And it's given me a lot of hope. So that's why I'm here.
Amazing. The other day, we were talking about an actor or a performer in the US around Hollywood Day, and I equate your skills and your knowledge to him, and the circumstances that he went through somehow resembles, for me, to his circumstances, but you didn't accept that.
Well, he's a big name, and first of all, it's a blessing. Like I receive it as far as like a compliment. That's like one of the best compliments you could possibly say, or give me. And I think sometimes maybe we don't see ourselves the way that other people see us. So it goes back to the imposter syndrome at times. I too have my imposter moments. But again, I think it also because it goes back to the fact that I'm nowhere near where I want to be. So when I think about the person that you said and all that he's reached in his timeline or in his lifetime, if I could do a fraction of what he did, I'll take it,
Everything about you is American, but something, the way you humble yourself sounds like you're more Ethiopian than American. I mean,
well, here's the thing, right? I grew up in the industry.
Yeah.
So you learn. You learn what works, what doesn't work. You learn what's good, what's not good. You learn what feels good, what doesn't feel good. You learn what takes you far and what takes you further back. As much as we love ego and pride here, that won't get you very far in the industry unless you have an unbeatable value, right? So unless you're the owner of these big networks and power and money talks, nobody's gonna give you the light of day, because it doesn't mean you have to be disrespectful either.
Absolutely.
Right? So again, my profession is my profession, and my personality or my personal self is my personal self. I've seen a lot of people who have gotten, blackballed or blacklisted, as you'd call it, because their attitude was nasty, because they didn't know how to treat people with respect or dignity, because they thought that since they were on camera, right, they're the ones that did everything. And it's like, actually, no, there's a crew of 200 people that are making you look good. Without them, you wouldn't even be here, right? Absolutely. So I always attest and give such great value to the people behind the scenes, because without them, I wouldn't be anywhere, right? I think that actors win awards because of the editors, not because of the actors themselves. I've been on sets where there are actors that I don't even know how they got there. I don't know how they got the job. I don't know how. but the editing makes them look like, they should be there. So yeah, I need to be very careful not to allow the fame or the money or the industry to get me outside of character, because I don't believe that it's natural. First of all, I don't think fame, to the degree that we've seen it, is natural. I don't think the amount of money that people can make is natural. And psychologically speaking, we haven't studied it yet, but I'm aware of how I can respond to certain, and I don't like it. So I try really hard to separate myself from my job and my personal life, so I don't get caught up, because you can really get caught up.
Great. I mean, I almost concluded that someone of your background most of the times would end up actually glorifying their job and tell you that this place is a heaven. Like, there's money, there's fame, there's everything you want, so we can do it all. But this attitude, what you have is a great thing. I mean, to maintain it, and it's just a big thing. Ever care about Africa?
Before now? No. I didn't even know what Africa was. I mean, I say that dramatically, but you don't have time to think about Africa. When you're in America, you think about America and everything that's regarded to America. Because I grew up there, right? It wasn't like I had some time here and then moved and I had the balance of both cultures or backgrounds or understanding. And when you're building, unfortunately, the narrative that we have about Africa is not a place where you're going to go and live a luxurious life and become rich and have a good job. So you kind of maintain your focus on the places that tell you that will, which is why I think even recently today, Speed, has made his presence in Ethiopia, and he's been going around Africa, and he's single-handedly changing the narrative about Africa and what I believe was $1 billion agenda against the continent, as far as like what lifestyles were here, or the limited lifestyles. So yeah, I did not anticipate even moving here. I mean, let alone wanting to invest myself, my time, my resources, my skill set. This is brand new. This is very brand new.
Amazing. I mean, the politics aside, we somehow fetishize what Africa has, because mostly because we saw what Africa has, is what Africa is capable of. And meeting people from the other part of the world, from the West, when you tell them about Africa, when you try to explain what we have in the civilization and the dynamics of the economy that we had before, it's like a fairy tale for most people. Do you ever wonder that there would come a time for this continent to be as big as the other part of the world, maybe the Western world? I'm asking this question because we have this dream of being big, but most of us has this imposter syndrome. Like, the musicians in Nigeria, from the eastern part of Africa, are doing wonders around the world. We notice now they're big because the West is telling us that they're big. An Ethiopian wouldn't tell you that an African singer. But for example, myself, I would tell you a lot about Sean Paul, or the likes of Jay-Z, Tupac, and all those stars. But from Africa, I may call one singer. So do you ever believe that Africa would get to that stage where we can dominate in some aspect of life? Maybe, do you have that belief now that you are in Africa?
I do, actually. But I don't think anybody but ourselves is going to create that reality, let alone the narrative, right? How much value and respect do we give to ourselves? And so part of the challenge and difficulty that I have living here, contrary to what, the narrative may say, is like, oh, whether it's like having hot water or these, these things, that compare it on a materialistic level with the normalcy abroad. It's more of our day-to-day, how we think, how we speak, how we treat each other, the value systems that we carry, that I find is going to be the most challenging. And if we can harness enough people that can start changing the narrative, then, you know, like a positive virus, it can sort of go out into the place, right? I think it starts with self, right? So how do we see ourselves? I know it's like sometimes when I talk about this among friends here, they laugh at me and think like it's a luxury. But when I talk about, well, how do you feel about yourself, right? Positive affirmations, it's just like a silly thing to them, but it's how do you speak about yourself? How do you think about yourself? What value do you think you bring to yourself and others? How do we speak to each other on a day-to-day basis? Things like that. And then, you know, the family structure, how does that look like in a family, in one household? How does that look like in a neighborhood? How does that look like in a community, a little village or a city? Like it starts with self. And if we're able to, it's difficult for me to say, because it's like, on one hand, I feel like there's a level of comfort, and it's so normalized, and people have become adapted to the way that we are. So whether it's like calling each other names, or the tone that we use, or just the relationship dynamic between people, friends, family, work, it's so ingrained within the system that people have just adapted, right? And change isn't easy. And especially if you don't have something or someone that can show you the value of it, that can mirror just how not so good the current value system is, then it's really difficult to convince somebody. And people don't like to change. You know, it's work. It's uncomfortable. You have to learn something new. So it's like, at my big age, am I supposed to learn how to speak to you? It's like, when I say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. You know, like, oh, this American, you know, you're in your feelings. And it's like, no, you don't understand the value of what I'm saying. Tone determines a lot, right? Based on your tone, I'm learning a lot about how you see me, how you feel about me, what you think about me. And then also your response to me expressing myself or expressing my boundaries, or how it makes me feel, is letting me know how you value yourself, because maybe you don't have a place where you're able to self-reflect and say, hey, I actually don't like the way I'm being treated. So when I say it, it's like, it's foreign to you, because you've never had the privilege to check somebody that way. So I say all that to say, I do believe it's possible, but it comes with completely rearranging our value systems. And I say this all the time, where so many people admire America or Europe for how either it looks or how people are. They're so nice, they're so respectful. And it's like, you do realize there's no law that says they have to be kind to each other. There's no law that says customer service is a thing. Like, they choose to live the way that they live. They choose their value systems, and they behave in the way that they want to treat each other and themselves. And then that becomes the normalcy. So it's not the land, you know what I mean? You don't have to go 20 hours. It's not the soil. It's not the sun. It's all the same. It's the people choosing how they want to live, what they value. So we just have to choose. What do you want to value here? And are you willing to do the work to reconstruct and destruct what you've learned to get there? But I think it's very possible.
But we are fetishizing the whole thing a little bit.
We're overly fetishizing it, but we want it. That's the thing, is the private conversations that I have, 9 out of 10 people all agree, right? They're tired of, people don't respect time. They don't really respect you. They make this, they say that we all say the same things. We call out the same problems. And then when the conversation of, so what do we need to do to change is, it just is what it is. I was like, but it's not. Malet. Like, you have the ability and the strength to point out what the problem is. And we're also having a conversation about what the solution could be. The only thing missing is the action.
Absolutely.
So is it a fear that if you be something different than the norm here, you're going to be isolated or ostracized, or you're going to be made fun of? Like, what do you fear and what do you value? And so that's the balance that we have to sort of figure out, babe. Like, yeah, we over fetishize this thing that's actually so attainable to us because it's easier to long for something that's so far away and believe that it's so far away instead of doing the work to get it. But we see that across the board, though, whether it's like work, whether it's relationships, whether it's relationship with self. So it's not even just one thing. It's like, it's every part of our system.
Absolutely. But I hope you know that people justify their actions saying that we don't have to follow the American way or the Western way. It doesn't necessarily mean whatever the West or Europe does is the correct way. Our way could be the correct way. For example, someone making you wait for an hour and you come, and they may justify that by telling you like, you're enjoying, so why are you whining about me being absent? Something like that. So living in that comfort, anything could be justified. For example, myself, I have some things that I justify. I'm a slow. Like I told you.
Yes. You didn't. Well, you're intentional. We changed it to intentional, not slow. But go ahead.
So if you have anything against that, I may justify that saying, I have a peace of mind. I reach where I want to reach. So I don't have to do whatever you have to say, or whatever belief system or value that you have shouldn't be my truths or my value.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that I see discussing about this kind of issues that people have. Anyways, I'm not justifying the whole system of it. So we need to think about it. Let's talk about music.
Okay.
I watched a video, a beautiful one.
Thank you.
So you're not only in the movies or TV shows. Tell me about the music and what is your intention in that? Like, you want to dominate the industry? Because
No, I want to help build the industry.
Okay.
So the first single we released is Guaraya, and it's a Tigrinya pop, hip hop, R&B sort of shindig, and part of the reason why it was created is because the Tigrinya industry hasn't broken into the various genres that the same way that the Amaranya industry has, which I love so much. I love that I can listen to R&B and hip hop and pop and country and folk and rock and all these different avenues of expression in Amaranya, and I would love to be able to hear that within Tigrinya as well. Oromia is also doing a really good job at that too. So because I'm from Mekelle, Tigray, my native tongue is Tigrinya. That's where and then there's a missing link there. That's where I invested my time in developing this music video. But part of it is also because the initial intention to coming here was to create a film that met international levels or qualifications to be able to have it placed on one of the platforms that I've worked on, whether it's Netflix, HBO, Hulu, whatever the case, right? Because what I did notice is during COVID, there's always a cause and effect with some things, right? There's a negative and a positive to things. And sometimes I think I'm reluctant to say positive because I don't ever want it to overshadow the reality of, the con. But because there was such a shortage in new content because the industry was shut down, they ended up opening up African genre. They were willing to take films from not just the American sector or like Americanized or ones that hit their qualities, but anywhere, whether it's Spain, whether it's Africa, whether it's China, anywhere, including short films at that, right? So once I saw that opportunity open up, and once they noticed that there's a whole audience of people that they were not reaching,
Yeah.
1 + 1 just equal 2, you know? So once I discovered the industry here, started meeting people and noticing the amount of potential that was present, I decided, well, why not invest in making an internationally qualified film that talks about our culture in some sense, and get it on one of those platforms. So instead of it just being me and the few, like, why not start bringing more of us into the industry? So that was the initial idea. Did not have enough context and knowledge about the system and how things functioned here, such as not honoring time, because time is money in America. And yeah, just different levels of skill sets, understanding communication, you know, the limitations, not by choice, but just by design.
All right.
I paused that and I started to reconstruct, okay, so in what format is it feasible for us to begin that can get us all on the same level, and then bit by bit learn our communication style and what's needed to get to a feature film level. So music video, it's a 3 to 5 minute clip. And especially here, we don't use storylines as much as we could. So being the filmmaker that I am, everything is cinematically presented in my head. We decided to use the opportunity of, it's an EP, so it's a 5 to 6 song mini album that we're creating. So with this particular one first, we said, let's make it cinematic. Let's make it a short little film. And that's exactly what Barakat did. We shot it with History and B Film Production. We did a whole storyline behind it, something that was empowering, because it is, the song in itself is, you know, it's female empowerment oriented. The first 2 lines are like, who says beauty is all that I have? I, the daughter of Raya, which is a region that my family is from, and it's known for like strength and masculinity. I'm a history maker, you know. That's kind of, it's relatable to myself. That's how I see myself, right? It's like I'm thankfully beautiful, if I can say that. But I also have the brains, right? I have heart, I have spirit, I have a work ethic that I'm very proud of. And because of that, I was able to enter an industry that a lot of us haven't seen yet. So it wasn't just my looks, it was also my brains and my work ethic. And I think that's a narrative that I really want to push around here. It's like, you have the capacity to do so much more than you're even aware of. And what does that look like visually as well? So the reason why it was such a strong female lead is we have to see ourselves within the same strength, and not just this like fluffy, warm, beautiful image that's floating around here. So it was amazing. It was a really, it was a great time. I'm really thankful for everybody that was involved. I learned a lot.
All right. So what are you thinking now? Is it going to expand into films and other things?
Of course.
Tell me about that.
So we have 2 more videos that we're going to shoot. Again, storyline based to create what's possible. We're going to be going around the different regions of Ethiopia to also showcase how to utilize the beauty of what we have. And then we're going to go into short films, 10 to 15 minute long. Maybe we'll do 2 of those. And then we're going to get ourselves ready for a feature film, which is about 1.5 hours to 2 hours long. So there's a progressive scale that we're working on. And the goal each time is just, to beautify who we are, showcase the extent of who we are and who we can be, and then build that bridge between the international community so that we can see just how valuable. I don't know if this country understands just how economically valuable the entertainment industry is. Because globally, it's the entertainment industry and the beauty industry that just dominates, right? Gross income, like it's you can make a lot through entertainment, and you can learn a lot. You can push a lot of narratives that way too. And I just genuinely feel like the entertainment sector is untapped here, even just to help economically boost the country in itself. So my goal is to prove the value of it, and hopefully it'll be respected a little bit more investments, more critically cared content will be created.
Amazing. I just want to touch upon an area that I never dared before. Like, I used to think about beauty, especially female beauty, the looks, and observe what is happening around myself, around my friends, saying, look at people, women, Ethiopians that are beautiful, and try to approach and ask what their worldview is, mostly because of the podcast that we're doing and because of other things. So what ends up at the end, I'm not happy about the whole thing. And I meet some people, beautiful inside and out, and like yourself, ideas, content, character, and everything, understanding values, understanding how things work, how the world functions. I wish sometimes we have people, we have our beautiful people, beautiful women in Ethiopia, if they could have that understanding, if they could have that content, that character. Have you ever thought of this and contribute something into actually making something out of this? Because the narrative that you talked about, the movie, the music and everything, the industry as a whole could benefit out of a beautiful woman with an understanding, beautiful woman with a character, a depth and everything like that. But I didn't do my research, but history tells us differently about this thing. Ethiopians, beautiful women accomplishing a lot. But nowadays, at least in my environment, people around me, we don't have that. So anything you want to think about that and contribute something there?
For sure. I mean, I'm very, one of my focus points is reprogramming how we see the value of women in our society. I'm thankful enough to have a brother who pushed me beyond my capacity, or what I thought would be my capacities, right? He was always very welcoming and encouraging, asked me what I wanted to do, what I liked. And then we would literally sit down and structure what it would take, what kind of work I would need to do to get there. So my value had less to do with my beauty and more to do with the capacity of my brain and how much I was willing to work to obtain what I wanted. So similarly, I would love to influence as many of, the up and coming generation, our generation. My target audience is between the ages of 0 and 35. It's very specific, because I know what it's done for myself. I know what it's done for how I identify myself, how I see myself, how I feel about myself, the sense of confidence that I have without it being egotistical or weird. I know my boundaries. I know myself well enough that I can't be purchased. And that's a powerful place to be as a human being, when you know your value and there isn't any one thing that can try to take that away from you. And I haven't compromised this far, and I still made it to where I want to be. Again, I'm still going to build a ladder, right? But it showed me that it's possible. So a lot of the content that I planned on creating is going to be very intentional about what's the message, and how to visually represent that message. Because I think sometimes when we can't see what's possible, it limits our ability to believe in what's possible, right? So even in America, the history of Black women working their butts off to create a narrative for brown and Black girls, that they can, through film and media, is the same thing that I would love to do here. I think we don't value ourselves as much as we do. And maybe that's because we haven't seen the product of the value. Like, I think if we saw enough of, wait a minute, she did what? She could do what? It would change the narrative. It's like, yes, continue to do the work, be the CEO, be the pilot, be the strategist. And we just haven't seen the benefit yet. So yeah, I will be very intentional about how I reprogram how we see ourselves, how we see women, the value of women, and making it a little bit more fair game if we can.
Great. I like talking about this issue because I see interviews from actresses from Bollywood talking about issues of great magnitude. For example, it could be politics, it could be the economy of the country, and these people are smart.
Yeah.
Look at you. I have friends from the US like yourself, and people that I consider mentors of mine. Amazing, brilliant women. And I'm so proud. Most of them happen to be Ethiopians. But I am jealous sometimes. I see the potential around Addis or around the country, Ethiopia. Beautiful woman, but we don't have the infrastructure. I know. At least we didn't have that infrastructure to actually make them believe in themselves and contribute something towards the society, towards whatever goal they have. It could be the society or other things. Yeah. But the reason I'm really focused on this is because I see them going to a direction that is really somehow, I don't know if I have to use the word cheap. Why do you have to go there and spend time where you're not valued? You're beautiful. Add content to it and contribute something. That's my intention. So that's the reason I'm talking about this, saying because you are on that trajectory, on that path.
Yeah.
You can have something to add to it.
But see, the question is who's letting them know that though? What narrative are they being fed? So just context wise, to make it clear, like I didn't come from a wealthy background. Yeah. Right. When we talk about infrastructure, for me, the internal infrastructure is so much more valuable than the external one. Right. We grew up poor, government housing, government assistance, had a lot of craziness. There's prisons and this. It was a very unhealthy, toxic, destructive, violent environment that I grew up in. But in light of that, right, the only thing that saved me, quote unquote, was my ability to harness myself within. Like I couldn't control what was around me, but I could control the narrative within self and how I saw myself. And the only difference between America and here, and I would say in the upbringing that if I would have grown up here, right, with the infrastructure that we have here physically, for example, versus how I did there, I had access to people or places that could reconstruct my mind, my heart, my spirit, my soul to make sure that I didn't falter, to make sure that I didn't feel like the only options that I had was selling myself or seeing myself in a manner that was not inaccurate or limiting my resources because I didn't know how many other options that I had. So in that same light, what I'm noticing here that's like a chronic detriment to not even women, but I think all of us, but specifically in the women division, is the fact that there's nobody telling them that their value is not simply based on their beauty. Nobody's telling them their value is not based on if they're married or not, if they have kids or not, right? And part of why I fight this at home, I should say, because everybody wants me to get married, right? And the more people that tell me to get married, the less inclined I am.
Wow.
Because nobody's asking me about my job, my career, my interests. Nobody asking me, what makes you happy, Fortuna, right? What do you want to achieve in your life? They're telling me what they want me to achieve in my life, and it's based on this limited concept of what is good for me, right? Like they forget that I have an opportunity that most don't. And so when I say I want to focus on harnessing that and developing it so that I have access to being able to open doors for not just myself, but our community, it doesn't register. It's like they don't see the value in it because they never had an opportunity themselves as women to be in these positions of knowledgeable wealth, of options, of power that was not dominated by another male partner, I'm sorry to say.
Absolutely.
So I think part of it is the narrative in itself is like, what are we feeding them? What are we telling them they're able to achieve, And if the constant narrative is you got to get a husband, you got to have kids, right? And now it's changed to find you a rich husband. And then for the guys, like, find you a beautiful, quiet woman that won't disturb, you know, your peace, that won't talk back to you. And it's like, what is this? What is this? And I'm seeing a lot more youth jumping into marriage simply because of the material value that the man has. And I'm seeing a lot more men jumping into marriage, probably to quiet their their families, but also they're choosing women that aren't from the city, right? That don't have a lot of knowledge or background or experience, that are, you know, raised to keep quiet, to not say much, to not do much, to not think much. And it's not good. It's for me, it's disheartening because I'm on the opposite end of that spectrum, where if I don't want to marry, I'm not going to marry. And I have that ability because I've learned how to be self-sufficient for myself. And I think that's the thing, is self-sufficiency, being able to take care of yourself, having a right job, or a job that can pay for your own rent, your own grocery, your own transportation. It's not feasible here. Because a lot of even just men working in these jobs don't make enough to be able to do that for themselves as men. So we are far behind as far as being able to give people the proper access to self-determine. That's definitely a fight that I'm here to fight. But I think it's just the circumstances of, again, how do you see yourself? How do you value yourself? What do you think we are entitled to as people, let alone trying to control the outside world, you know? You know.
Definitely. There, you mentioned a point about your upbringing. Were you poor? I didn't know.
Yes. Oh my gosh. My friend, listen, I don't think we have time for this, but I think because I also, this bubbly and fun personality is a choice. Joy is an active choice. There are so many reasons to be upset, to be hateful, to be gloomy, to be whatever every day. I actively choose joy, but it doesn't mean that's my default. My default is rage. My default is sadness. My default is, you know, being terrified of the world that we live in.
Wow.
And I've seen some stuff, you know, I've experienced some stuff that I would never wish upon anybody as a woman and as a person. And so, yeah, I didn't get here because somebody spoon-fed me anything. I was not born into a rich family. I didn't have no trust fund or whatever the case is. Most people who actually live in America are not rich, mind you. You know, there's a big gap even in the class system over there. But I think also my wealth doesn't come from the material aspect of it. I think it's the internal self that's actually of value. Like I said, we grew up in government housing. You know what I mean? It made we were poor enough for the government to help us, right? So you have to be poor in order for the government to say, yeah, I gotta help you out. You know what I mean? But it created this illusion.
Yeah.
Because we had a house, but it wasn't ours. Yeah, we had cars, but it was still under the table as far as like, we had to make a small amount to be able to get enough because we needed it. We're a family of 5, 6, right? And then there's just a clashing of cultures as far as, it was the first time for our parents to be there too. So they're trying to navigate, trying to keep their children safe. You know, always telling us to stay home and just read, don't watch TV, don't go anywhere, don't do anything. And I think that's the worst way to raise a child, because then the rebellious part about like, well, what's over there that I shouldn't go and see? Well, why can't I go over there and do that? Like, well, why are all my friends out and about and I can't be? So it puts you in a, you know, potentially self-sabotaging situation because nobody's teaching you what's going on and you're discovering it on your own. And the consequences are whatever the consequences are. So it was a lot of that. Yeah, it was a lot of chaos, honestly speaking. But yeah, I'm thankful to have had the people and the opportunity to realize that I don't have to be a product of my environment. I can choose who I am. I can choose how I am. And I think that in itself is a great experience for me to have, to be able to share with people here. Because the overall narrative is, you go to America, you got it made. You know what I mean? You're making dollars. I'm like, yeah, but you're calculating it in birr. You know, we still have to pay in dollars. Not the same.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And adjusting to a lifestyle that is very isolating, you know, goes against community and familyhood, that you have to just consider so many different things that are not here is not that pretty.
So true.
You
so
know?
true.
So
help me understand this. A person, I know people from your industry achieve a lot in life, maybe most of them because of circumstances, like some happenstance occurs and they get the chance, or some others may go to acting school and have the chance to be actually in a movie or in a show. You're an Ethiopian, you have a very different color and maybe a mindset as well. So making it to that level, was that great?
I'm going to be honest here. I still have the imposter syndrome within myself.
All right.
I'm so used to working. All I know is work, to get out of something. So it's, you have to work to get from one place to the other. And I think for so long, like my siblings and I, we worked so hard to get out of our environment, that success looks very different for somebody who never learned how to clap for themselves, who never learned to reflect and say, this is where I was, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And I think that also comes from our own Habesha culture that doesn't know how to self-applaud, that doesn't know how to self-value. And I would dare say that I am one of those people. So in concept, I know how big of a deal it is. It's thankfully because I moved here also. Right. So over there, it's like, I'm not Ethiopian over there. I'm Black. But I'm not Habesha over there. I'm Black. So I'm fighting in the Black market, just like everybody else. And I'm fighting against those who've come before us who have a greater opportunity than we do. So the idea of even me being like, oh my God, as an Ethiopian, as a Habesha, as a Tigrinya, I made it into how. It's so foreign. It's such a I just became Habesha. I didn't even know what that meant. And I didn't know the value of it either, because I didn't know the background of our own history. So now I'm able to say, okay, actually, yeah, this is kind of a big deal. Regardless of what I might determine is a big deal for me as Fortuna, on a community level, it's a big deal, because it's showing that young girl who was born in Ethiopia, who was born in Mekele, who went to America, who didn't have the resources of just being plugged into it, can work her butt off to break into an industry that is, less than 2% might even make, right? When I first went to NYU my first year, within like a 3 to 4 week span, I think my particular cohort of people we started off like 150, 160 people. By the first week, half of them jumped ship. They left. By the fourth week, it was like maybe 40 of us left, because it's not easy, right? What they thought it was versus the reality of what it asked of you was very different. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from like 6 a.m. until 11, we were training. We had 5, 6, 7, 8 different classes, and then we had rehearsals after that. Then you have to go and watch shows, you have to go watch films, you have to be critical as far as networking and figuring things out. That's for 4 years straight. And then the higher you go in your learning, the more that's required of you. We used to literally carry around, it's embarrassing when I think about it. I used to carry around a luggage full of a variety of clothes. It could be costume, it could be different colors, because you never know when the teacher's going to ask you, it's your turn to do a scene today. You never know when an audition is going to pop up down the street. You see a line. It's like, what is this, Hamilton? I remember we slept outside.
Wow.
We slept outside the building in a garbage dumpster because it was raining. And we had our friends rotate to go and bring blankets and teas and manamin just so we could maybe get seen. We didn't have an agency. We didn't have an appointment. We didn't have any of that. But we wanted to get in that room so bad just to maybe get seen and recognized. And we slept outside. And I was thankful that I did because somehow I got a chance to go in. I auditioned the first time. They liked it. Don't know why, because I'm still like a freshman. Okay. Called me back 3 times. And so the sacrifice of sleeping in a garbage bin
wow.
led me to some of the biggest people in the industry at the time in the world of theater. Again, I'm still in class to learn how to do this thing. But the sense of self-confidence that it gave me, right? The sense of like, I felt so proud of myself. I was like, what am I willing to do for what I want? I was like, yeah, I'll sleep in a garbage bin.
Wow.
I will definitely do that.
Wow.
Because it let me know what could come afterwards. So I don't, this bougie, like, I gotta be this way. I will mop a floor right now if it meant Dave Chappelle, will let me audition for some movie. I don't care. The humility is necessary in order for you to realize the capacity by which, how strong you actually can be, how much you can if you're able to just not limit yourself, right? So I know we kind of went all over the place in that.
I like that. I really like
in that
that
response.
Yeah,
but, yeah.
I definitely like that. You mentioned a bit about it, but I want us to talk about the perception and the reality. By the perception, I mean, if you happen to ask someone on one of the streets of Addis and ask them about a young person, maybe around the age of 25 to 30 or 20 to 30, maybe, and ask them about the US. I don't have a research about this, but I have a feeling that everyone would tell you that America is this land where everything can come true. Possibilities after possibilities after possibilities. So the reason we are in that thinking is because we have people going to the US. Yeah. When they come back to Ethiopia, there is this part of them that we see with the clothes and places they go to and how they talk and how they explain things. It's fascinating. Listen, I knew this guy from back in those days in the school, and he was dumb. He didn't understand anything, and he left for the US and came back to Ethiopia. And in his speech, in his conversations, there is a lot of English. Wow. America must... Listen, America must have played a lot in his, I don't know, conversational skills, because there is a lot of English that I don't understand. So this is a perception that we have of people moving to the US and living life in there. And I understand the reality is different. I just want you to actually tell us the difference and between the perception and the reality, so that it could be, some kind of medicine, some kind of for the people living in here. Yeah.
Well, there's 2 things on that, right? One thing that would come up regularly whenever people meet me is they would say that I don't act Hollywood. And my response is, well, I don't have to act something that I actually am. I know what Hollywood is. That's why I'm not bought by the idea of what Hollywood is. And I say that to say, lack of access is what tricks us into perception. Because if we had access to Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Jimmy Kimmel down the street from, the Madison Square, then we wouldn't overvalue it as much as we do here. So if you could go into Gucci, pick up the belt that says $10,000, right? Hold it in your hand. you'd be able to look and be like, this is not worth $10,000 because you have it, it's tangible. But the intangibility is what creates this fictitious idea. And it makes us reach for this false idol, this false thing, because we don't actually know what it is. But if you go on the website, it'll tell you this 10,000 Gucci belt was made for 35 in China. It's the same warehouse that you're buying from the street. Only difference is the label says Gucci and you're paying for the brand name. But if we knew that, then we would not value it as much, right? So it's the same thing. It's like living in America is tough. It's tough. I worked 3 jobs while I was going to NYU. Wow. You know, like I said, I was sleeping outside, hoping and praying that somebody will see me. Just I might have an opportunity. I shared an apartment, like a 2-bedroom apartment with 7 people, right? Which maybe for us is a little normal here. It's like, you know, but it's not over there because you think you have your own apartment, your own this year. No, you pinch money as much as you possibly can. The average person in America is 1 paycheck away from being homeless. And it's not like living here where you don't pay the rent. You can kind of like check with somebody and be like, I'll pay you next month, whatever, you know what I mean? And you kind of go a little back and forth and be like, all right, whatever. And they come back, or you have the privilege of, you know, your family's house or something like that. We don't got no house. I'm living in New York by myself. Wow. Trying to make this thing a thing at 17, 18. I don't know the land. I don't have any family. I don't have any context. Like, you know, if I don't find rent, I'm done for. And so, but because a cotton shirt is normal to us, right? I think there's like Cotton or Kotex sort of store here, where that it might sell cotton branded clothing. Others are maybe more polyester, like Shein, Manamanaga. For us, our norm just happens to be like access to cotton. But it could be at Ross, which is like a thrift store. You know what I mean? It could be, there's many people thrift, TJ Maxx, Manamanaga, like people thrift because we can't afford the actual thing. But because it's made there first, or we have first access to it, you're thinking, oh my God, like they got access to these things. It's a different land with its own different structures, but I promise you it mirrors. And the only thing that would, I think, dismantle this overemphasis and overhype on material value is if people had access to the actual thing and they held it in their hands and they would see, why would I pay $10,000 when the marketer is telling me it's made for 35? If we knew that, it would easily dismantle the idea of it. But again, that's what, you know, propaganda would be in a way, or programming is how do you sell this country where it's like, you know, we have all these things. I'm like, well, yeah, because you robbed half of it from every other continent. And then you went to a manufacturer that would make it for less because your dollar is more powerful. You know, it's like the system of ways of perceiving. And that's what I'm saying is like the entertainment industry is $1 billion, $1 trillion industry because they pay for the narratives that they want people to uphold. So.
All right. Amazing. So in all that, I understand the power of narrative and how you tell your stories, how the story of America was told, and we understand it in the way that the movies are telling it. We understand it in the way the TV shows are telling it. Do you ever believe, or do you have this belief that it could work for other places, for example, Ethiopia or the continent of Africa?
I was literally just going to say, imagine if we did that. Imagine if we had the power to narrate our own image of self.
What do you think that takes? I mean, what is the ingredient?
Takes understanding the value. Like it takes first realizing that there is a whole industry, right? A whole system that is invested in creating an image about itself. And there are people who invest millions into it. Just trying to get sponsorship here it's a different, you know, begging and pleading just for somebody to understand the value of art, understand a value of narrative. We're far behind in that sense, right? But if you understood that the entertainment industry has the power to shift or shape how you want people to see you, and then once you see it actually working, then I think people will be more inclined to want to invest into it. But yeah, it's you shape your own image. So, you know, abroad, it's like, I mean, also, I'm not going to lie to you. Part of it is true, right? Africa or Ethiopia right now is known, you know, for war or hunger or drought, but it's been this narrative, right? The poor, it's a poor country. They live in huts. This is the African narrative. They live in huts. They run with gazelles, and it's like, what are you talking about? We have Mercedes, like we drive Mercedes as well. You know what I mean? I've seen a Bentley. I've seen a couple Hummers here. You know, but nobody's taking pictures of that and posting it. We're not seeing that in movies. A lot of even what we create ourselves is like, you know, something about like abuse or divorce or kidnapping. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the same conversation about like, she got into a relationship. He was physically abusive. You know what I mean? And this other guy came and he kidnapped her to save her, but she didn't want to be kidnapped. I'm like, what are we doing? What's happening? So part of it is also our responsibility to self-determine what kind of stories we want to tell. And that's why I haven't done films or been a part of films yet. It's like, that's not the narrative that I want to push, right? I want to be very intentional and careful about how I see this country, even for myself. Like, what is home to me here? And that's why I traveled around, where it's like going to different regions and sort of seeing like, what opportunity do we have? What's the reality of how people actually live? So that when I do choose to tell a story, it's accurate, right? I don't think anybody would even know that we have this space available. Like, this looks very American.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're wearing a suit. Oh, it must have been from America. You must have somebody shipped it from America. It's like, no, we create good suits here. Like, we got good tailors. You know what I mean? So there's so much power in the media. We just have to understand it, and people got to get with the time. You need to invest in telling your own story before somebody else does. And that's one of my fears. They started Queen of Sheba abroad with Hulu maybe 5 years ago. It was like they started with the idea of a film, and then they went into a series. Not really sure what's going on there. But what I will tell you is the success of that is not going to stop them from coming and telling and stealing more of our stories. Whether it's the Battle of Adwa, whether it's like Haile Selassie, whether it's whatever the case is, you know, Johannes, they're going to come running once they realize there's a market for it. And I just want us to beat them to it. We need to profit from it. It's our story, and we need to tell it truthfully, and let us be the ones that benefit from it. So that's a focal point that I really, really, really want to harness.
Amazing. Are you for AI for arts?
No.
Go.
You don't even have to finish that question. No. What is this madness? Rules and regulations now.
Because this is something that we hear about frequently, and everybody likes talking about it. Like friends, we talk about AI this, AI that. We talk about America doing that with AI, this with AI, and China trying to actually, develop something else. Yeah. So everything is about AI. Maybe it's because of the algorithm or the circle of people the friends that I have. We talk about it a lot, and your industry will be affected most by it. So some people would want to take advantage and actually harness AI to better whatever they're doing. And what is your take on that?
No. First of all, you can't manufacture art. You can try, but it's not going to be the same. All AI is taking data points that already exist and generating another version of it. So it'll never equate to the heart and soul of actual art. I'm not like afraid of it as far as, oh, we're never going to be able to tell stories, excuse me, as human beings ever again. It's just going to be two different categories, right? So my thing is, first and foremost, without question, you got to regulate it. Let us know what is and is not. Make it very clear, right? And give people the option, because this weird elusive thing is not cool. especially because they're also taking people's images without their permission and using their likeness. And it's a whole ordeal in the industry right now in itself. Do I ever feel that AI is going to substitute real art? No, because again, it's data points that it's regurgitated and just giving you a sample of what you already know. But you can't manufacture heart. You can't manufacture your soul. And there's a life to it that a computer just cannot produce. Like this is not life. This is just, again, you're washing data and you're giving it to me. So I'm not really scared of it. I don't like it because I think it also devalues the industry. Honestly speaking, it kind of devalues what it takes to be an artist. I've seen a lot of people who haven't done nothing, haven't experienced nothing, haven't invested in nothing. And they'll get on the software and then all of a sudden they'll give themselves the title, musician or songwriter or producer or filmmaker. And I'm like, you would never disrespect a doctor that way. You would never disrespect a lawyer that way, engineer or whatever. So why do you feel like you can disrespect what I'm doing? But it is what it is, And I have seen it teeter into the industry here where people are taking original content, songs, and making AI covers of it. And I just want to let y'all know, in case you didn't know, it's very easy to get rid of, okay? It's a really quick process on your YouTube. Go to your YouTube studios, go to the matched content where somebody else has taken your stuff, and all you have to say is give it a 72-hour notice to get it off. Like, stop allowing other people to profit from how much time, effort, resource you put into it simply because you don't have the knowledge. And y'all need to stop stealing people's work. Stop it. Create your own work.
Artists in Ethiopia have been saying that a lot for copyright and audio-visual things. But with AI, I don't believe that you can talk about it and maybe have negative thoughts about the whole industry of AI and it will suddenly vanish. I don't believe that is going to happen.
It's
but
also not totally negative. It actually, it can be very, very useful.
Right.
I think it's the over abuse that I'm, like I said, people have tried it already with Guararaya. They tried to make an AI version. I went and I took that down. I've taken down like 27 different videos that people have tried to use in my name or likeness. And I'm like, you know how hard it took, how long it took for us to actually create this content? Like, I'm not going to give you an easy pass. But in places of bridging gaps, there is value in it. I just think we need to be critical as far as allowing it to be useful and not destructive. And not, because also it takes a lot of water. And I recently read an article that was expressing this year alone, AI took more water than the total amount of bottled waters that are created worldwide. And the projected amount of use completely superseded what they thought it was going to. So is it even feasible? Is it sustainable? What is the impact it's going to have on the land? Like, are we going to have drinkable water in the next 3 years? All because we wanted to like make a little cartoon of I don't know, some character? Like, for me, the impact of not knowing what it is scares me more than is it going to dominate? And like, no, but are we going to live long enough to even have an industry at this rate? Like, that's where my mind is going. It's useful. We just have to be careful and give it the same level of care that we would anything else. Because even surgery uses robots, right? But it doesn't mean there's no more surgeons. You can't just like eradicate them, can you?
They can be around, maybe.
We've gone that far already? Oh, maybe we do need to marry rich. If you're rich enough, maybe I do need to get a rich husband now. That's crazy.
Like, they can be around the OR. I mean, I'm just joking. That's a joke.
I hope so. I was like, what's happening? How much life we got left?
I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
But at some point, with the pace and with the speed that we're witnessing these days, everything is unpredictable.
Yeah.
Everything related to AI is unpredictable. So, I like it a lot. That's why I talked about it.
Oh no, we are not friends. Why do you like it?
I like it a lot because I think for people that you call intentional.
He's talking about lazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
lazy people can benefit a lot. You know, there are lazy and creative people,
Yes.
with ideas, but
Yes.
the implementing that idea would be an uphill battle or something like that.
So you're a phony. You're a fake.
Okay, call me that.
No, not you, but I'm saying people that don't want to do the work to actually learn and like, come on, bro. Really?
No.
Oh man. Well, this is the shortcut method that you guys learned in
listen.
Ethiopia. That's what this is.
Listen, hard work is okay, but hard work for a person living in this environment, like I was telling my friend that in Ethiopia you can sleep outside and have nothing to put on, like a blanket or anything. Nothing will happen. You'll wake up and you'll search for a breakfast. So we have that comfort. So finding individuals that are resilient and working hard is really hard because of the environment that we are in. Again, I'm not justifying anything, but imagine an Ethiopian living in Russia or somewhere like Greenland. We're talking about Greenland a lot. So do you really believe that an Ethiopian could survive in that environment and in that weather condition? An Ethiopian who is not intentional, who's not trained, cannot survive. But look at the weather we have. Look at, the land we have. It is making us lazy. It is making us, it's not the only thing that is making us lazy, but it contributes a lot to that.
So then it goes back to the conversation we had earlier, though, about how do we progress as a country, as a community, right? If now we're having tools that make it even easier to be more lazy, then are we ever going to achieve the ideals that we have about this American dream? Are we able to foster it here, which is about value systems? America is known for working hard. They work their butt off, right? So are we ever going to be a functional democratic system that has, all these rising folks and like, will we ever get there if we have?
But I don't have any intention to fulfill Elon Musk's and his friends dream of giving everyone the money they want so that they can enjoy their life. They call it some kind of income. I knew the word, the phrase, but I forgot. But still, that could be a possibility, one possibility. So that you can have the money and you can enjoy, you can have everything you want. But working hard, is that natural? I'm sorry to say that.
I think it gives you purpose, though. It gives life meaning. At least from my point of view, I like feeling like I've accomplished something. I like the feeling of utilizing my body, right? Whether I'm doing some sort of labor physically or it's using my brain or my heart. Like I feel like I'm using the capacity that I've been given. And maybe that's where for me it stems from is this joy for work is, I'm not saying I enjoy work in the sense that, if I had an easier way of living that I wouldn't necessarily choose it. But I have noticed how good it feels to like actually use the vessel that you've been given to its full capacity. So maybe balancing like the usefulness of who we are, what we've been given, the blessing of it, and then finding ways to actually enjoy the rest of what's been given, right? Traveling around, spending time with family, being able to appreciate. Like I co-sign that as well.
Sure. I really enjoy our conversation. It's amazing. We could have this conversation for 4 hours, 5 hours, but I learned a lot. I'm humbled because we are having this conversation. But tell me if there is one thing that you would want me to know, but I didn't touch upon or I didn't mention. It could be
about Hollywood, or it could be it could be about yourself. Tell me the one thing that you have in your mind you think would be fascinating or educational.
I don't know. We've touched a lot of bases. We touched Hollywood. We touched on cultural systems and this crazy AI. I think maybe the only thing that I would love to reiterate is having the capacity to separate your profession from your personal self. I think that's a recurring theme that was kind of brought up here, which is what allowed us to go into different sectors of conversation. Excuse me. We're not our work, you know, and I think sometimes we can get caught up in it. And I'm speaking to myself when I say that as well, you know. And it's been a beautiful resting period for me to take time off from the industry, to take time off from America and sort of realize the value of familyship, the value of having time for Shahi Bunna, right? The intentional aspect of living. And I think it's just a matter of finding the right balance. And I think this country has a promising opportunity in that it knows how to value life. So I think in many ways, we're actually better off than the West, because we get to be present to life, which is something that I didn't know I needed so much. And it's helped to rewire my nervous system to learn how to go with the flow a little bit, be more patient, be more understanding, be more spontaneous even. So yeah, I appreciate my time here.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.